Our crappy culture. So here's something I just want to talk about from my vacation, all right? In Oregon, where I was, there is every year a Shakespeare festival in Ashland. And it's not just Shakespeare, it's all kinds of different theater. You know, they do kind of classic shows and sometimes musicals, but they also do a lot of Shakespeare. And they have these beautiful theaters they built for it. There's a little town, Ashland. It's a very beautiful little town, but it's a very, very left-wing town. It's a really woke town. So 10 years ago, I think it was me, my wife, and my son, Spencer, went to Ashland to see the plays, and they were great. I mean, we saw Othello, we saw a couple of really good Shakespeare plays, we saw a couple of non-Shakespeare plays, and then in the day, we would go out, we went on a whitewater rafting trip down the Rogue River. It was really fun. So I thought on our way back this time we were going to Central Oregon to hike, I thought on our way back, let's stop off at Ashland and see a couple of plays. And they were terrible. They were terrible. Why were they terrible? It was because, you know, there's such a thing, they call it in the theater, they call it colorblind casting, which is where you don't mind if you cast a black man in a role that's usually played by a white man. I am deeply, deeply in favor of colorblind casting with one caveat, okay? I'm in favor of colorblind casting for one reason. I want to see great actors play great parts. I want to see, and great actors come in all colors. And there is this vast, untapped reserve of great actors who are black and who are, you know, not white. I don't want to see, you know, King Lear limited to only people who look like King Lear would have looked. I want to see all the great actors. I have an imagination. I understand if Denzel Washington is playing King Lear, I understand Lear would have been white in real life, but I can get over that. The only time I don't agree with that is when colorblind casting confuses you. So if I can't tell whose brother is who, or if I can't tell that this is supposed to be a mother, I have to constantly be thinking about it and translating it because the play is for the audience. The play is not for the actors. The play is not for the producers. It's not for the director. The play is for the audience. When you are putting on a play, your purpose is to communicate great writing, great theater to the audience. So in Ashland, they no longer have colorblind casting. They have reparation casting. They have woke casting. Every single part is played by somebody of a different color. I don't even think there were any white men in it. Not only that, but they were putting on a production of Oklahoma where the guy's role is played by a female. So basically, and we saw Jane Austen. I want to tell you about this in a minute, but we saw a production of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. And if you ever want to see a great production of that, watch the movie with Ang Lee. If you haven't read, or you know, if you've already read the book, watch the movie by Ang Lee, and it is just fantastic. It was like everybody was something else. Everybody was black. There was a midget. I'm not exaggerating. It was like everything. And you know, the thing is, Jane Austen's world was a very specific world. It was a very specific British white world. And so these actors, it's not the actors' fault. It's not the actors' fault. They want a job. They're good actors, but they were miscast. And it was just off-putting because after a while, what I was thinking was, you're not putting on this play for me. You're putting on this play to show me how virtuous you are. You're not going to be held back by the fact that women aren't men. By golly, if women want to be men, they're men. You're not going to be put off by the fact that some white people are white and some aren't black. And that actors, part of what an actor is the way he or she looks. That is part of what an actor is, just like part of what we are is the way we look. And so that translates into the theater. It's not colorblind casting when it overwhelms the theater itself. And that is really crappy culture. I do have to end on this note, though. Jane Austen, who is, in my mind, the only great female novelist. Now, there are female novelists who have written great books, right? Because like Jane Eyre, fantastic book. Middlemarch, one of my favorites, absolutely excellent book. But Jane Austen is the only novelist who is up there with Charles Dickens, Leo Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, of presenting a vision and a world. And it is such a powerful vision. She was writing about the virtues. Alistair, I can't remember his name, the guy who wrote After Virtue, one of my favorite books, he says that she was the last writer in the Aristotelian tradition. She was a genius. And so her characters, I know they're always looking for love, and you think of them as romantic stories, but they're really stories about virtue. And Sense and Sensibility it's funny, it's a really anti-leftist thing when you think about it, because the emotional sister is the one who's doing everything wrong, and the sister who says, yes, I have emotions, but facts don't care about my emotions. She's kind of a Shapiro character, and she is the one you want to see happy. And in the moment this woke audience watching this woke play with this reparation casting, which was even making fun of itself. It was even making fun of Jane Austen by putting in outmoded dances, anachronistic dances, and all this. But that moment when the man comes in and proposes and gets down his and the audience, seriously, the audience gasped. They gasped with pleasure. It was like the power of Jane Austen just overwhelmed all the crappy casting, all the virtue signaling, all the leftism, and people understood what virtue is and that virtue should be rewarded because Jane Austen was a genius. It was an amazing moment, but shame on you in the Ashland. You've ruined the Ashland Shakespeare Festival by your woke casting to prove how virtuous and how lefty you are instead of delivering the play to the people. All right, that's what I have to say. Tomorrow, what do we got tomorrow?
Natalie Ritchie.
Natalie Ritchie. Oh, terrific. Natalie Ritchie has written a really interesting book called like Roar Like a Woman. Is that the name of the book? Yeah, and it's about feminism and how it elevates male values over female values, which I've been saying for a long time. She will be here tomorrow. I will be here tomorrow. I hope you will be here tomorrow. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. And our technical producer is Austin Stevens. Edited by Emily Jai. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.